Hello. I was thinking about habits the other day and talking about thinking, a lot of times we can consider habits to only be actions, physical actions, such as harmless habits, obviously, good habits, what time we go to sleep at night, waking up in the morning, how we interact with individuals from a physical sense, but we also have mental habits, patterned ways of thinking, and those could work for us, those could be healthy, and those habits can also be self-defeating, and they can be perpetuating things in our lives that we don't realize that we have control over by the way we think and we relate to them. So I wanted to just share one example of that, and you could leave me comments on perhaps what you consider, or after a little bit of reflection, what you're noticing comes up in the day in relation to perhaps an outcome that you've noticed that repeats itself in your life, or even, again, an interaction that repeats itself, maybe with a spouse, with a friend, and just becoming aware of how your mental attitude or how your mental state is before and after. So one example of that for me, and just talking about and going off of something that's near and dear to my heart that I like to work with people, individuals with, is yoga. So there was a time, especially when I first started doing yoga, that I did it from more of a physical aspect, in a sense that I was in this habit of going to class and thinking about what it was doing for my body, how it was getting me just into my body, how it was shifting the chemistry of my body, how it was affecting my physicality. And slowly I began to realize that I was so focused on the body, and that there wasn't that connection that they speak of in yoga, actually the definition of yoga, which is union of the body and the mind. And that is when I really started to recognize the importance of breath work in yoga, but also of meditation. And that's what I want to share with you today. A lot of times I get calls from clients and they just want to work on the yoga. And I have to come from a place of understanding and empathy, because I was in that place at one time. But I also like to introduce the idea that you don't have to make that mistake. And it may not be a mistake, and often we have to experience things for ourselves. We can't have something told to us. We need to feel it in our bodies, and in our hearts for it to really manifest. But how beneficial it can be to make that connection, or to work on that connection from the get-go. So bringing the mind and the body into one, and just coming back full circle to that I, again, was going in with this habit of thinking about the physicality of yoga. And only by becoming aware of that was I able to shift my behavior and incorporate more meditation, incorporate the breath. And by doing that, it shifted the physical pattern. And it also then, these small habits, that's a loud noise. By shifting these small habits in our lives, the bigger effect that they have, the snowball effect that they have on our interests, the people that surround us, and our day-to-day habits that perhaps we've been looking for that shift, we've been looking for that catalyst for change. And sometimes it just takes one small thing, one shift in perspective. So I encourage you today to just recognize perhaps patterns, the physical patterns that you have in your life, whether they're positive, potentially more so if they're negative, and just becoming aware of either the mental attitude, the perspective that you could start recognizing before that. But initially it may be helpful, or maybe easier, more more readily something that you can grasp onto, just noting either mentally or with a pen and paper how you think about the situation. Okay, and leave me comments, let me know how it goes, and we can go from there.